Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Ryan Sage, Assistant City Attorney with the Human Relations Office. We're here today as part of the Compassionate Sioux Falls Initiative, an initiative to change our community from tolerance to acceptance. Each month we like to spotlight a business, organization, or individual that's making a difference in our community and fulfilling a need. Today I have with me my friend Terry Brown from Face It Together Sioux Falls. Terry, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ryan. I'm glad to be here.
For those in the community that are not familiar with Face It Together, why don't you explain to them what your organization does for our community and how you fulfill a need?
Mm-hmm. Face It Together has been around since 2009. We are a nonprofit organization to help people get well from addiction. We strongly believe that people should not have to pay to get well either, so our services are free, which a lot of people are really grateful for that because sometimes, finances are a bit straining on you. We're not licensed or accredited counselors or therapists. We're people who've been in the trenches, you could say, our own self, and we use that as a guide. That's where the peer-to-peer comes in, and that is the connection that draws people in.
You mentioned that your services are free to people in our community. What services do you provide to those in need?
We provide recovery coaching, and what is that is, it's a one-on-one session. We usually meet once a week, try to have people on a reoccurring schedule so we can have some stability and regular visits to keep them engaged. We also have telephone recovery support, and that is we will call people weekly, 3 times a week, whatever you prefer, and use that as an extra tool if you're struggling or having triggers to have someone to talk to about it as well.
For those in our community that are not familiar with addiction, what are maybe some signs and symptoms of addiction, and what is an addiction that causes people to maybe act in a way they normally wouldn't?
Right. Well, addiction does not discriminate. It comes in all ages, lifestyles, demographics. It doesn't matter who you are or what your lifestyle may be like. And a lot of it does come from the environment maybe you came from, or maybe you had some type of a traumatic experience, and a lot of people start using it at a young age for coping mechanism. We see a lot of that. I work with a lot of women who've had some traumatic episodes in their life, and they're coming to the point in their life where they understand that something isn't right. And people have a tendency to think that it's just the drugs or the alcohol. Usually it's a deeper problem than that, and the substance is just used to take the pain away or make you feel better or anything like that.
So you can maybe figure out what the underlying cause is, or maybe work with people to address that, to work with the addiction or the substance abuse.
Correct. And once again, that goes back to the peer-to-peer. Not having an accredited license is that I my own self, which I freely talk about, is I had my own childhood trauma. You can come from verbal, emotional, mental, sexual, abandonment issues, and or all the above. And so we've been through a lot of that. And so we can understand and relate to the person. So when they come in and I kind of tell them a bit of my story, and they're like, "Oh, that happened to you as well?" "Yeah, it did, and this is what I did to get well."
Sure. How prevalent, I guess, is addiction in our community, or what have you seen as a trending direction maybe for the services that you're providing, the numbers that you guys see?
Right, and alarmingly enough, that it is growing. And as Sioux Falls grows, you're going to have more crime, you're going to have more homelessness. It's just it's just part of it. Obviously, the meth is quite an uprise. Heroin, opiates. We are seeing a lot of people coming in with opiate addictions. That's a nationwide thing, but we're starting to see it much more here right in Sioux Falls. So. Sometimes a parent will call because they're concerned about their child or a loved one, and we do also help loved ones. What we mean by that, it's like a family member who doesn't understand why their child, their husband, their mate is acting the way they're acting. So we also have sessions with them to help them understand how they can take care of themselves as well.
What are maybe some signs and symptoms that you would see that could maybe alert you to the fact that maybe a loved one or a friend of yours is suffering from addiction or needs help? What should we be looking for to help our fellow citizens?
Okay, yeah, mood change is a good one. Lack of performance, missing work, getting in trouble with the law. That's always a good sign. Just disconnecting. You know, maybe at one time you're a very happy family, you did a lot of things together, and maybe one person stopped doing anything. They kind of disconnected. So when a person disconnects, it's the opposite of connecting. So they stop doing what they used to do, they found fulfillment in. Or maybe things are coming up missing around the house. Someone's taking them and selling them. All kind of a list of things can happen. But when we have a loved one, we don't want to really see the reality of what's going on until usually something really detrimental happens.
Sure. How many people did you guys help last year, and what percentage, I guess, increase were you able to see? We talked about the increase, but how great is that increase in our community?
Yeah, well, we've seen about 1,600 people last year, and our numbers are continuing to rise for people to come in. I would say at least 75 to 78% of people who are in the penal system are there for drug and alcohol-related issues. You know, obviously we can't keep locking people up for their addiction. We need to help them get well. We do have a good data that shows that people are staying well once they come and use our services. They are not just sustaining, but they're maintaining their sobriety as well.
Sure. You mentioned that you guys are a nonprofit organization. Who do you partner with in our community, and how do you obtain, I guess, the funding in order to continue to fulfill this need?
Yeah. Well, we also we have grants that we do. We have fundraisers. We have our annual March into the Light, and that comes up in September. That's been very successful. We also have a First Tee event for golfing. This is coming up on our 4th year. This is going to be in June. We also have Employee Initiative, and that's where a lot of businesses in town works with us as far as having their employees come and visit if they have any of their own personal addictions. We also collaborate with Dress for Success. We're involved with Drug Court, DUI Court, any nonprofit organization that see what we do. We're all in this for the same reason, to help people get well.
If somebody is looking for help for themselves or a loved one, or looking to help your organization, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Well, they can call us, or they can at 274-2262. You can go online, and we Face It Together Sioux Falls. You could even go online and make appointments online. We schedule people that way. When people come in, we ask them how they hear about us. Either it's media, internet, a friend, a coworker. We've been around since 2009. So a lot of people now, when you ask them, have they heard of Face It Together Sioux Falls? Yes, they have. So we're really getting ourselves out there.
Well, Terry, thank you for the work that you guys do at Face It Together Sioux Falls, for getting our community well and keeping our community well. If you're interested in learning more about Compassionate Sioux Falls, please visit us online at siouxfalls.org/compassion, or call the Human Relations Office at 605-367-8745.